There was a time in Canada when restaurants weren't just places to eat. They were landmarks woven into the rhythm of everyday life. From birthday parties with sundaes topped with sparklers to post-hockey pasta dinners in cozy booths, these restaurants were a part of growing up. They weren't chain knockoffs or short-lived fads. These were places where your parents brought you after church, where you celebrated little victories with your friends, and where the smell of fryer oil mixed with fresh bread told you had arrived somewhere special. Whether it's mother's pizza mugs, towering plates of nachos at Green Jeans, or late-night smoked meat at Ben's, these spots created memories that last a lifetime. Let's take a trip down memory lane and revisit iconic Canadian restaurants we wish were still around. February 1976. Across the prairies, a new type of restaurant opened, Mother Tucker's Food Experience. Part roadhouse, part country lodge, it was rustic chic at its finest. Barnwood walls, checkered napkins, and a menu built around prime rib and oversized platters set the stage for a dining adventure. Then came the 1980s, and Canadians wanted salad bars, carving stations, and buffets, where you could try a little of everything and go back for seconds. Mother Tucker adapted, rebranding some locations as Tucker's Marketplace, and the concept exploded. By 1984, there were about 21 locations. It nailed the moment. Families could eat affordably, hockey teams could fuel up after practice, and everyone could grab a plate filled with roast beef, salad, dinner rolls, and more. But buffets are fragile. They're sensitive to economic swings, rising food costs, and shifting tastes. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, diners wanted niche experiences, not broad-appeal buffets. Leases rose, margins tightened, and locations began closing. One renowned Calgary site shuttered in 2010, and the original footprint continued to shrink. Toronto, 1972. The pizza wars were heating up, and Frank Vetteris decided to go bold. Not thin crust, not New York slices. He served deep dish, thick, cheesy pies that were almost theatrical. Dining rooms were bright and loud, built for families, full of energy and color. Frank Vetteris wasn't subtle. Kids felt like they were on an adventure. The pizzas took 20 minutes, but the wait was part of the fun. A vinyl booth, jukebox selections, and the anticipation of a hot cheesy pan pizza made every meal a celebration. The 1970s were pizza's golden age in Canada, and Vetera carved out a unique niche. But the late 1980s were ruthless. Delivery specialists offered convenience, value players undercut prices, national chains had scale and marketing budgets. Vetera's flamboyant interiors were expensive to maintain. One by one, locations disappeared, and by the 1990s, Frank Vetera's Pizzeria lived on only in memories, with kids recalling cheese stretching from pan to plate. Out west, Woodward's wasn't just a department store, it was an institution. Inside, you'd find cafeterias, coffee shops, and food floors that made a trip to the store feel like a day-long event. The ritual was simple: shop the food floor, bulk bins, fresh produce, deli counters, then head upstairs for a tray-slide lunch, chicken pot pie, lemon meringue, and a cup of coffee that was refilled without asking. Affordable, reliable, and part of daily life, Woodward's cafeterias were woven into the fabric of families' routines in British Columbia. For kids, parents, and shoppers alike, it wasn't just about the food, it was about living the experience. But the early 1990s were brutal for Canadian retail. Consolidation, competition, and changing shopping habits struck hard. In 1993, Woodward's went bankrupt and closed, taking with it its cafeterias, coffee shops, and a treasured part of Western Canadian daily life. These iconic restaurants weren't just about food, they were about ritual, celebration, and memory. They brought families together, fueled young athletes, marked special occasions, and shaped the way Canadians experienced dining. Though many have vanished, their stories still live on in the hearts of those who grew up visiting them. Step into Eaton's on St. Catherine Street in Montreal and take the elevator to the 9th floor. The doors open and suddenly you are somewhere else, somewhere grand, luxurious, unforgettable. The Eaton's ninth floor restaurant wasn't just a place to eat, it was a destination, a symbol of Montreal's elegance, a public living room for the city. For 68 years, it welcomed generations of families, school groups, and couples alike. Students on field trips marveled at the Art Deco murals, the soaring ceilings, and the sweeping city views. Proms, anniversaries, and birthdays were celebrated with a sense of ceremony. You didn't grab a tray and shuffle through a line like in ordinary cafeterias. You were seated, treated with care, and made to feel important. Silver service, polished cutlery, linen tablecloths, and attentive staff created a dining experience that felt aspirational. Children would look around in wide-eyed awe, while adults sipped cocktails and admired the skyline from floor-to-ceiling windows. The ambiance combined refinement with comfort, giving everyone the sense that for a few hours the city belonged to them. It was a place where the ordinary became extraordinary, where a lunch after shopping or a school trip felt like a royal event. But by the late 1990s, Eaton's faced the pressures of modern retail. Big box stores and malls shifted consumer habits. Department store dining was no longer as profitable. Maintaining such a grand restaurant in a changing economic landscape became unsustainable. In 1999, Eaton's declared bankruptcy and the restaurant closed its doors for the last time. On that final day, bagpipes played Amazing Grace, a poignant farewell to a beloved Montreal institution. Generations of Montrealers mourned the loss of a restaurant that had been both a cultural landmark and a personal memory maker. In Toronto, 1964, a simple but brilliant idea changed weekend mornings forever. What if breakfast didn't have to end at 11 a.m.? The Golden Griddle family restaurants made breakfast all day and turned it into a Canadian ritual. Step inside and you were greeted by red vinyl booths that squeaked when you slid in. Plates stacked high with pancakes, bottomless coffee, sizzling sausages, eggs cooked to order, crispy hash browns, and golden toast. Families, kids, and friends could sit for hours. Newspapers spread across the table, kids trading bites of pancakes for sausages, while snow-soaked mitts dried on the heater near the door. Through the 1970s, 80s, and 90s, Golden Griddle was comfort food at its most dependable, a place where ordinary mornings became special memories. It was unpretentious, warm, and welcoming. You didn't go to impress anyone. You went to be fed, comforted, and sent back into the world with a full stomach and a smile. The charm lay in the consistency. Every dish was reliable, every cup of coffee refillable without asking, every staff member ready to greet regulars by name. You didn't need reservations. You didn't need to dress up. This was classic Canadian casual dining at its finest. However, as the decades passed, the market grew crowded. Trendier brunch spots emerged with avocado toast, cold brew coffee, and artisanal pastries. Urban rents rose, and maintaining the chain became increasingly difficult. By the 2010s, most Golden Griddle locations had vanished or had been taken over by independent operators, leaving behind only memories of breakfasts past. For those who grew up with Golden Griddle, weekends meant pancakes stacked high, laughter filling the air, and the smell of frying bacon marking the start of a perfect morning. Its legacy lives on in stories shared at kitchen tables and in the hearts of Canadians who experienced the comfort of breakfast done right. Finally, we arrive at Ben's Deli, the crown jewel of Montreal's late-night food scene. Opened in 1908, Ben's was a pillar of Montreal culture for nearly a century. By the 1960s through the 1990s, it was alive with neon lights, celebrity booths, and towering Montreal-style smoked meat sandwiches. Ben's wasn't just a restaurant. It was a refuge. After hockey games, late-night movie screenings, or long nights downtown, locals and visitors alike flocked to the deli for a sandwich piled impossibly high, a bowl of matzo ball soup, or a comforting plate of pierogies. The air was thick with the aroma of smoked meat and the warmth of camaraderie. Walking into Ben's was like stepping into a time capsule. People came not just for the food, but for the feeling of continuity, the shared history of the city, and the sense of belonging. Although Ben's famously claimed to have invented smoked meat, a claim later challenged by food historians, its reputation and aura remained undeniable. Montrealers grew up knowing that a trip to Ben's meant food, laughter, and stories passed across tables piled with rye bread and meat. But by the early 2000s, cracks began to show. Quality started to decline, labor disputes soured the atmosphere, and the balance between tourist crowds and loyal local patrons tipped the wrong way. In 2006, Ben's closed, marking the end of a near-century-long legacy. 2 years later, the building that had housed it was demolished, though artifacts were preserved in local museums. Still, the closure left a deep void in the soul of Montreal. Looking back, these 10 restaurants weren't just places to eat, they were cultural landmarks. They marked moments in Canadian life, first dates, family celebrations, school trips, and post-sports meals. They shaped memories that generations still carry. These establishments thrived when dining was experience-focused, when people valued ambiance, service, and shared tradition. Even now, when Canadians reminisce about these restaurants, their memories are vivid. The smell of fries, the clink of silverware, the sight of neon signs, these details endure in the collective memory. Sharing these stories allows a new generation to understand a Canada where dining was more than just food. It was a ritual, a celebration, and a gathering place for community. Whether it was Mother's Pizza, Mr. Green Jeans, Ed's Warehouse, or Ben's Deli, each restaurant tells a story about the people, cities, and culture of its time. They remind us of a slower, more ceremonial era of dining, a time when meals were experiences to savor, not just sustenance to consume. So, which one resonates with you the most? Was it Mother's Pizza mugs, Green Jeans Sundays, or a late-night smoked meat at Ben's at 1 a.m.? Drop your memories in the comments, share this video with someone who remembers, and subscribe for more stories of forgotten Canada.